Hello and welcome back everyone. Day 2, continuation for Selenium live training with C Sharp. So we still have not got to either Selenium or C Sharp. But what we did yesterday quickly was to give you the overview of the application that we're going to use to practice, and also the one which we're using for our internal communication. So as we went through yesterday, we briefly went through as to what is it that we're going to focus as part of the initial segment of the training, and how we're going to achieve mastering the fundamentals of automation testing. This becomes very critical, team, because it will lay the foundation to how we build our overall career. I see thousands of professionals in software test automation, and they have not built this kind of a fundamental base, and they struggle a lot. All they try and focus is take an automation script and change a few parameters here and there and try and keep it running. But here at ITeLearn and our training, we want you to be hands-on. We want you to be very, very strong, knowledgeable about it. So that's the reason our approach is going to be very, very systematic. We'll go through each and everything in a very sequential manner, so it will make it easy for you to really master the whole aspect. Having said that, the first thing that we did was we did a brief walkthrough of the application that gave you the overview of the functionality. Then we said, let's start creating a few simple test cases. Are these automation test cases, team, or are these manual test cases? If we are here to learn automation testing, why is it that we are writing these manual test cases? Because in the whole life cycle of a software testing, all right, whatever be the development life cycle, be it a typical waterfall, agile, and whatever methodology is being used, the process of testing will not change. Documentation still stands forth. It still is the one which is very critical, and that signifies the fact that documenting whatever you do and being able to showcase when the defects are being um, projected to the development team, how you could reproduce them becomes important. So this kind of a documentation, which is more related to manual testing, becomes very, very critical. So we started with that and we created 3 simple test cases. Now if I say, team, here is the sheet for Interact as a simple test case, we're going to try and do a simple login. All right, and we will see how it's going to work with this kind of login. If I try and do the same, incorporate the same, do I need any additional information? If I send the sheet to anyone in this team, will you be able to execute it in the same exact fashion as anyone else would do? Do I need to provide any other set of information? Is there any additional information required? What kind of information is required in this case? Right, what are you going to test on, right? We're saying simple login. Click on login is fine, but enter username and enter password. What username, what password are we going to enter? That is very critical, team. So I'm going to say here is the test data that is needed across each and everything. We're going to use a few of these test accounts that we created as a trainee, okay, and try and log in into that and see how it's going to work. So I'll use mine, and I'm assuming the default password is the same, and try and reproduce this. So the way this is going to work, team, is as a manual test engineer, our intent is to try and execute whatever you see out here in a very systematic manner on the application. So now we are getting ready to execute the manual test case that we created. So to do that, I'm going to resize my screen a little bit and bring that new tab up here, and we're going to try and play around with this. So let's follow the test case and try and execute it based on that. Okay, here I'm going to use interact.com/app. Isn't that the first step? So when I said I want to log into this, does it actually log in? The result is yes, but is there a difference? Did it go to the page? Yes, it did. Now, I want to click on login button. At this point, will I be able to click on the login button, team? Am I eligible to be clicking on the login button at this time? Can we? No, you cannot. Why? Because the application is already logged me in. It has not logged me out to begin with. So there's no way I'm able to click on the login. And this is a failure. My test case has actually failed if this was the scenario, correct? So that means that you have to ensure that you're initially logged out. So that is an important step that you can update here. Go to interrupt.com/app and ensure you have been logged out. Or you can always continue to use a private browser team. When you use a private browser, the system does not take your cookies or your passwords into consideration, and it straight away gets you like a fresh time you visiting the website. So now we are at the home page. We're going to repeat this first test case in a very simple fashion to try and see how this works. So we've gone to interrupt.com/app. Yes, we're going to click on the login button and see if it works. Okay, so it helps us to come to the login screen. I'm going to enter the username which is provided, and that is kk@atomic77.com. I've entered the password and I click on login. So has confirmed logged in. Did this happen, team? So all the steps in this process has worked correctly, right? Is there any question as to any of these being failed? No, not really. Now, if I need to continue in the same fashion and execute the next test case, what do I have to do? I'm going to log out. And I'm going to try and log in again using the same credentials. I do log in as a trainee, and if you notice, I'm a trainee. That's my role right now, and I see my notifications. In this case, I do have one additional step. I'm gonna reduce this font size on this team because it's really big out here. So the font size is zoomed in. Okay. Now the same data team I'm applying for all the accounts. Each of you have exactly the same data as I'm using, so you can use the same data to be able to test it out. So same username and password that you have, you instead of using my account, you could use your own account because it's the same information that has been provided. Paste special, just paste values only, copy out here as well, paste values, paste special, paste values only. Oops. Sorry. Okay, done team. So the third test case, if you notice team, the new step out here is after we confirm login, we click on log out. All right, and now we know that it has successfully happened, and I could say the same yes to every step out here. What are we trying to do out here, team? We have taken a scenario and we're trying to test it manually to see if the application behaves the way it is expected to. Now, if we want to create an edit profile, what is it that we plan to do here? Edit profile, make some change to it and close. That's what we want to do. So to do that, I continue the same test case. I enter the same username password. I click on login, and instead of saying log out or verifying that I've logged in, I'll say edit profile. And out here, I have my first name, last name, display name, user icon, password, confirm password, and so on. So here, Instead of saying my last name is SLT Demo, I'll say SLT Live. All right, just a simple change, and I'm going to try and update this. So looks like it is updated correctly, but do you see it reflecting? Not right away. Let's refresh and see. Still doesn't, right? It still didn't. But the test case does not say verify whatever you've done. It just says SLT Live is here. But why it doesn't show here? Oh, the display name is here, right? The display name is the one team also that I wanted to change. I changed my first name, last name, but display name did not change automatically because they kept it like that. Now it is existing, and I click on save, and I can say that's my new changed profile. So in this case, there was a problem. The edit profile didn't work correctly in a certain fashion. How? It was supposed to auto refresh, right? No. Why the edit profile out here said auto refresh on page load did not happen, and that's a comment we put. So now, what have we done out here, team? We have created a manual scenario and we have executed that specific test case. Correct? We have seen if that scenario is working or not in a manual fashion. Now, as a human being, it is easy with this information I send it across to you to say, can you execute it? Yes. Why do we need to really look into an automation at this point in time? What is the real purpose? The real essence of automation and the advantage of it will be showcased to you as we go along. It is not a theory or a concept that I want to explain to you at the beginning, so it becomes, yeah, this is the advantages of automation, or these are the reasons for it. But very simple logic, team, if you can think of anything that you do today, if there is a scope of improving it in how, if something can be done faster, in a much more efficient way, and it is also very accurate for us to do, that is something that is preferable. And that is what the entire world emphasizes on today: the speed, the efficiency at which we run things, and also how accurate are the results. Now, when I did this, I have a lot of opportunities where I may make mistake, like typing in the username or password, or I could also do errors in terms of making the correct kind of verification. I have to depend on tools and systems and robots to make sure that this accuracy increases significantly. And that is where we use automation testing tools. Automation testing tools primarily become where you try and teach a tool to follow a certain steps in a sequential manner and show you the same result. All right. As we go along, you'll understand as to how automation testing tools can help in achieving three fundamental areas of improvement in E, R, A. I am going a little bit more fast than the usual way of explaining the fundamentals of automation and so on, because I'm assuming most of you have gone through the prerequisites videos that we've shared with you earlier. If you have not, team, then I would sincerely request you, because certain topics, especially like Selenium element identification and so on, should be something you should pick up from there. Now, we want our work to be efficient. When I say efficient, what do I mean, team? I'm saying what can be done in 4 hours, can we do it in 4 minutes? Faster, it should be much using minimal resources and be able to do. So faster and using minimal resources is good for being efficient. R is for reusable. When I want to keep using it, I can repeat the tests as and when needed. Minimal maintenance. All these documents, team, as we go along, we keep sharing you at end of each project. So you will see that it becomes a good reference thing when you go for interviews and so on, you can keep referring these documents and learning through them. Accurate. You want to make sure that there is a highest amount of accuracy. When you are given to test something, let's say you go for a blood test, are you okay with saying that, you know what, 70% the test is correct? Or do you expect to get a much more concrete, a much more advanced result saying, yes, the test is pass or fail 99.9%? So that kind of an accuracy is what is demanded these days. Now, to do that, team, we have many options, but Selenium gives you a great starting package, and that's the Selenium IDE. How many of you have installed Selenium IDE on your Firefox, or rather added that as a add-on to your tools? Have any one of you done that already, team? Yes. So if any one of you have not done, it is very simple. You can just go into your tools and search, all right, for specific add-ons, and say you're looking for Selenium, all right, and you can find all the add-ons related to it. I have already installed so many of them, so it is out here. You can find it and install it. You can alternately also go to seleniumhq.org, which is the headquarters for the open source tool Selenium. What is Selenium? What are the advantages of it? We will cover it in a very systematic manner. The reason is very simple, team. When you come to an interview, let's say I am in the interview panel, I would very easily know if someone has really understood the concepts and has worked on it hands on, or someone who just knows how to answer interview questions. And I would prefer the first candidate over the second, because that is where the real essence comes in terms of picking the right people to make sure they take the automation testing project to the next level. So you can also go here and install Selenium IDE from here. That gets added to your Firefox browser. Selenium IDE as a tool comes with Firefox browser, team. It does not come with other browsers. But wait a minute, haven't you heard that Selenium is actually a tool that is used for cross browser testing? Firefox is needed to run Selenium IDE. So only for the Selenium IDE we need Firefox. But otherwise, once we take this into a scripting tool that can be used to execute the test, we can do it on cross browsers, multiple browsers at that time. Now, it may not be the latest version, but once it is installed, you'll find it out here. When you do a new installation, it'll of course be the latest version. But right now, the version I have is 2.9.1. And I don't know which version is going on with seleniumhq.org. I think it should be around the same. Plugins page. See, when I'm doing something, it is already trying to work on it. Let's go to the downloads. Server. Anyone has the latest version? It does not matter because even this should be okay, but we can see the latest versions out here. So many versions out here. But I think it should be the latest version, right? 2.9.1. Yeah, I think that's fine because it doesn't really change too much, team. They don't focus too much on trying to make sure that the IDE changes. There's more focus towards ensuring that the tool is stable enough. It should recommend you to get the latest version out just in case it needs to refresh. So when you open up Selenium IDE, this is what you see. What is Selenium IDE? What does it stand for? Who knows the full form, or rather, let me ask this. Who does not know what IDE stands for? What is an IDE? And each and everything, team, even if you're not aware of it, ask the question or try and search for an answer. The hunt to try and acquire knowledge and skill becomes very, very critical, and you should continue to do that very strongly. All right. Now, we are looking at a development environment. This development environment is used for you to try and execute a certain few things on the application. But to do that, you are doing some kind of a coding. All developers need an environment which is easy for them to work with, especially to write a program, run a program, to be able to make changes to the program, save that program. That is what a development environment is, team. When they put in a lot of features to it and try and integrate it with many more other third-party tools and so on, they call it more that it is integrated into a specific system. For example, this Selenium IDE is integrated with your Firefox browser. It works hand in hand with your Firefox browser, team. So let me open this up and show you very briefly what this stands for. This is a record and run tool that Selenium gives by default. Okay, Selenium is open source, so there is no need for a license fee. Okay, Selenium is open source, hence you do not pay for the license over it. Now, in this specific UI, you will notice that it has certain features. It has certain buttons and so on. Your focus is going to be on Selenium IDE very briefly. And then we're going to move to much more advanced topics using a different platform altogether when we come to the C#. In this case, Selenium IDE, I'll just call this SSID, can learn the test case, rather what to do, in two ways, team. Either you record while executing and Selenium IDE can understand, or you write your own test cases. Okay. So having said this, team, you will notice that this specific IDE has a red icon or a red button to the top right. All of you notice this? This is where it shows us that Selenium IDE can now become a student for you. You are the teacher and you can teach Selenium IDE the right things. Whatever you do on the browser, Selenium IDE will try and capture it and store that information. Based on how the information is stored, it will have the ability to go and repeat the same thing. So you basically do two things out here. You record a test case and run a test case. What do I mean? How does it work? In a very simple fashion. So I keep this open. Right now, you will notice there's a test case template here and a table source. I am not focusing on these green buttons out here. I am ignoring that for a minute. Let me highlight this. So this section is ignored. Also ignore this section and this section for now. We will not do source as also, but as we keep going, we will work on them. And team, I want you all to watch certain videos that will get you more grip on this area, because this is the foundation. We will not focus on record and run for more than 15 minutes. But that sets you to understand how the tool works by itself. Now it is already in a recording mode. So whatever we do out here, for example, I click login, you will see that there's certain activities that are getting captured out here. I want to do it all together afresh. So I'm going to right click out here under test case and say new test case, or delete this test case. But you need at least one test case, you cannot really delete. What I could do is I can select all the steps. Just keep your shift down and keep doing the down arrow. All the steps have been selected. At this point, I can right click this and say, hey, delete. It is as simple as a Word document. It is that simple as an IDE. But the power of Selenium does not does not end with IDE. It really takes it to a very, very high level when it comes to programming. That is the reason it is very popular. This is a start. Okay, so now let's go. The first thing I'll do, team, is let me set it to the home page. Okay, I am trying to look at what we have as a test case and do the same, and Selenium IDE should be able to understand what I'm doing. How? Let's start clicking on login. So first we've gone to interrupt.com/app, right? So this is the first thing that we're doing. We're navigating to the website. Second, we click on login. As I perform steps on the right, observe what happens on the left. So there are three areas or information that is going to get filled in. The command, the target, the value. Command is basically saying what to do. Target is saying where to do. Value is saying if it needs some additional input or information to put in. At this point, I'll say username is kk@atomic77.com. Okay. And I'm going to click on submit button. And once I've done this, I will simply log out of it. Okay. Now, whatever I have done, Selenium IDE has recorded those steps and learned because the button was on. At this point, if I switch off the record, right now it's pushed out, it's not pushed in. It's like that embossed button that you see on a UI. And now if I continue to do anything like login and so on, it does not record anymore. At this point, you have taught Selenium what to do. Now what we could do is simply go about executing it. So I'm going to click on run and you'll see how it can go about executing the entire thing. Now it says that, hey, you know what? All done, all said, done. You asked Selenium IDE to run what it saw and it did. What did you observe, team? Number one, it did something very, very quickly. So you are efficient about it. Second, now I want to do it, let's say, with a different value. So instead of KK at atomic 77, I'll say AA at atomic 77. Now what should ideally happen, team? What should ideally happen? This is a successful run. You'll see the results coming in green. There are no failures. So the red is 0. At this point, I've changed something in the data. And if I try and execute it once again, let's see what happens. Where did it fail? It failed to log out. This is the last step, it failed. And if you go there and look at the log from here, you will see the first time the test case passed, but the next time it did not find the logout link. And it could not log out because the login authentication itself failed. So there was no username with AA at atomic77.com and hence it could not log in. If that was the scenario, you'll notice that the tool is able to provide feedback to you what is working and what is not working. This is how it tries to understand when you do a record and run. But as I told you, there are two ways to work with Selenium IDE. The first, the one which I just showed you. The second, writing your own test cases within Selenium IDE. Why do I need to be able to write my own test cases? There is a tool which will do it, correct? But remember, team, I was telling you the master and student, you become the trainer and Selenium IDE becomes the trainee. Selenium IDE is looking at you and learning. But if you are not an expert on the process of learning or on that specific topic, how will you be a good teacher? Correct? And being a good trainer comes with the package of being awesome in that specific field. So for us to be very good in that specific field or area, you need to have a strong foundation. In an automation testing team, there are two very important questions that we always need to answer. Always need to answer. The first one comes out as, just going to take a pen. The first one, where do I draw, comes out as where you want to do something. The second one comes out as what you want to do. All right. These two questions are important. Now, a simple thing, for example, I ask, let's say, I have a car driver. I have a vehicle, but I have a car driver. I'm going to tell him that, you know what? Take the car, go pick up my clothes from the dry cleaners and bring it back. Right? So I told him, go where? To the dry cleaners and do what? Bring my fresh clothes back to me. Unless I give instruction to someone clearly as to what to do, where to go, they will fail. Now, is that sufficient? No. I have to say, go to XYZ dry cleaner at this address and then get these specific clothes that I've given. Here is the receipt number for it, or here's the receipt for it. Then it becomes more accurate. Your instruction ability to be able to say how and what and where to do, that makes you an amazing automation engineer. If you fail to give proper instructions, the tool will only do things as stupid as your instructions. So the ability to really scale up an automation team depends on your instructions. So as an automation test engineer, you have to be very, very good at giving crisp, clear, and without any ambiguity the instructions on what to do. So anything you see today, right now, in the Selenium IDE space, for example, all of this has three things out here. The first one, if you notice, I'll use the highlighter. This command is, what do you want me to do, master? The target is, where do you want me to do a certain thing? This is if there's any additional information that I need for it. So I said, go to the dry cleaner, right? Go there. Where is the dry cleaner? I give the address for it. Then I'm saying, pick up the package. What is the package? It is a bunch of clothes. But how do we recognize? For that, I have to give a receipt number, and that will give them the information. So the command is what you want someone to do. The target is where. Now, how is this linked? Automation tool is a very stupid, non-intelligent tool team. It has no intelligence by itself. It is not a smart tool at all. There is no smartness. Smartness is what? That you give it information like ABC, it knows that there's a D and E also possibility. It will start thinking automatically, logically. Here it will just follow instructions. Yes, it will achieve efficiency, reusability, and accuracy, and I'll emphasize that as we keep going along what it really means. Sorry, team. And for us to really master Selenium, we need to know what a command is, what a target is, and what is the value. As the automation tool changes, the name from command changes to something else, the target changes to something else. Does not matter. Now, it is a lot like English. It is not at all complicated. Your focus should not be in mastering what are the various commands or what are these different types of complex targets. Your focus should be that it is English like, I can easily understand and do many test cases. With IDE, do about 25-30 different test cases. Just play around, get the feel of it, and see what they mean as you do different things. Like command here, open. What may open do? Just think about it. It is trying to say something in English, correct? And it is basically saying that you want to open something, and it's saying target. So there's a base URL. Now do you notice here, base URL? That is the main URL of where you want to go. It's saying open app. It is a subfolder in this, or a subdomain in this, or a page within that. So it's going to go to interrupt.com and go put app at the end of it, and it's going to go to that page. Then comes click and wait. How do you know what exactly they do? As you keep going through each step, if you notice, there is a reference section out here. This reference section gives you the complete definition of that specific command, what it does. We're focusing on this command section team right now. All right. Once you keep doing it for each and every step, you will see the reference changes. For example, what is click and wait? You can click on something, you can type, you can open, and so on. Click and wait seems to be a little different. Why? Once you click on login, it tries to load a new page, and the new page may take certain time. And that is the reason you use click and wait, so that IDE waits for the new page to load before it takes an action. Sorry, team, caught a little cough on that. Now, at this point, you'll notice that there are many commands, many multiple commands that you can see out here, right? And with these commands, you do not have to master them, team. Please do not try and master what is open, what is click and wait. Just keep doing multiple test case over test case, test case over test case. Let it become something that you're comfortable with. Automatically you learn them. Play around with this tool, not necessarily interrupt. Just go to any tool. What you can do, just right click, say a new test case, and out here, let's say you want to start recording. uh, Give me an example of some other site that you want to play with. Any other example of website that you want to play with? Any website is fine. Google.com or Gmail or Cricinfo, and you'll see how the application and where it starts to fail as you keep going. Let's go to Google.com. All right, and notice what happens as we try and do something. So I'm in Google India by default, because right now I'm operating from India at the moment. So I want to go to Google.com. So first thing I'll do is click on use Google.com. Do you notice this? It has redirected me from google.co.in. It has taken me somewhere, and it says click and wait, and the link I'm clicking is use google.com. Now do you notice the target also is changing accordingly? Here I'm going to type interact and see if something comes up. Okay, I put interact and I hit tab, and I'm going to click on the search icon, and if there's anything that will come up, it should come out here. All right, so there are certain only very little information about interact, because it's not really a very popular name yet in the internet, and that's come out here. And let's say I want to see if there's any images around interact. If there's any images, then I can click and look at that. Now I'm going to stop this record, and I'm going to see how it looks. Okay, command open. What does open do? It opens a URL. So the base URL is this, and target is like this, something like this, right? Then click and wait. Click on what looks like a link. What is target saying? Where to click on? The primary two ways of input into a system, into a PC or a computer, are what, team? What are the two devices that you use to enter information into a computer? Can you take a wild guess? This is something we work every day, but we ignore to really focus on it. There are two hardware components that we use to give information or give instruction to a computer. We use them so much that we forget. So I'm reading out the answers, like text box, button, not something on the website. I'm saying hardware, something that you can actually touch and feel and see. It's not the text box, button, browser, link, or drop down, not click, and so on. It is your keyboard and your mouse. Your keyboard and your mouse. Correct, team? Your keyboard and your mouse give as to what, it gives inputs. So if I have to click anywhere on the website, what do I use, team? I use the mouse. Mouse is pointing where to go. The keyboard will help me put information into it. So here, if I want to type something else, Then I use keyboard, but to point to it, I use my mouse. Your automation tool tries to replicate the same philosophy. Where is Karthik clicking? What is he typing? How do I capture that information? Once I capture it, how do I run it? So now what happened, team? What happened? Do you guys notice? There are two test cases that have been executed one after the other. Let's take a look at this. And this is where you have to keep playing to get better and better at this team. So untitled, this one, I'll right click and go to properties. And is this the first one? Yeah, this is the interact properties. And I'll change it from test untitled to interact underscore tc underscore 001. Isn't it the same name we gave in the test case sheet as well? Here is just a properties sample thing for Google. Sample underscore test case underscore Google. Alright. This out here says how fast you want the script to run. Fast or slow. If you put it to the full speed, it goes as fast as it can. If you get it more towards slow, it will go more gradually. This button out here says I can have multiple test cases. So I double click on one, those specific steps will get shown. Let me erase the drawings. If I double click on the next, those test steps will get shown. Each step is nothing but trying to mimic what you have in your manual testing team. All right. Out here, you will notice that the command and target information is entered, and based on that, it is trying to execute that. When you click on this, it executes all the test cases that are there in this box. So the way Selenium IDE has put the the organization of this is it creates something called as a test suite team. Okay, so I'll call this as TSU. Under one test suite, it can have multiple test cases. And each test case, which is like a test case TC, can have multiple steps of what has to be done. Like open this URL, click on this link, enter text, and so on. That is how it is neatly organizing stuff. It becomes very critical for us to organize stuff because it gives us a lot of control in the process of how we are doing things. So here are the different steps that we can execute. All right. At this point, you will notice that there are two test cases. Only one test suite. We have not saved the test suite yet, but there are two test cases. If I click on run, it will run the entire thing. But if I click on, I want only one test case to get executed. I think I have to erase all drawings. No, pointer. And if I click on only one test case, like for example Google, and say run this test case, it should be only running that test case. See, it's going to Google, it entered interact, and it is executed. The first time it did that, it failed. Why did it fail? I don't know. But it's like you giving instruction to your driver, go get the clothes from the dry cleaners, but he has not done it. Some mistake. Whose mistake is it, team? It is usually uh, three areas where the mistake can happen. Either you did not give right instructions, or the tool did not do correct, or you didn't provide some data which is incorrect. You gave a wrong receipt number or something like that. All right. The art of how you go about debugging and making sure that the test case works becomes very important. Now we have done this portion, team. Let's try and do one test case all by ourselves. For this is where you need to know what is element identification, the concept through which we can understand how to answer the where question for the automation is what is element identification. How does Selenium identify where this button is? How does it know? As simple as this, team. If I have to give you the address of my home, how do I let you know? I have to tell you the state, the country, state, city, zip code, street address, house number, and so on. Unless I give you those details, you don't know. Similarly, Selenium tries and captures certain information that is unique. if the same address exists somewhere else in the world, it the package that is supposed to get mailed to me will get delivered in a wrong address, right? That cannot happen, and that is why Selenium takes extra effort to make sure that there is a unique identification that can be used to identify that specific element. But lot of times it gives up because it is a tool, but you are the master. If you are the master, you should be an expert at saying, giving instructions. And that is the reason element identification becomes very important team. And within our IT learn tutorials, you will find many tutorials on this that you really should spend time. The day 3 team, I will also leave that as a demo for people who still want to continue to join, so that you get a chance to view some of these videos and come back, and so we can take you to the next higher level. uh, at this point team, I know it's almost about 5 minutes away, but any questions while I write the new test case for you all to view? So while you're doing this, I'm gonna be going back to my sheet. I think this is here. What is the difference between Selenium WebDriver and Selenium IDE testing? So, all right, it is like this. It is Selenium IDE is a starter package, very simple, very basic. It lets you do certain activities. WebDriver is a much more advanced version, a much more uh, powerful tool, but it does not have a very simple to use IDE like your Selenium IDE. So when you come to WebDriver, you'll not see anything as user friendly as this. It is all going to be like a code. It is all going to be around the code. For example, I go to options and I say change the format now to C sharp, let's say an unit WebDriver. And now when you go to the actual WebDriver and start coding, this is what you're going to see. This is what you got to understand. What do each statement mean? How does it work? And once we understand these simple concepts, it will become very easy for us to master. Then comes all about building logic from there on. So that is how we change the different options to different versions. And any programming language, be it Ruby on Rails, Python, Java, C Sharp, it gives you the ability to run using different platforms. That is the reason you will notice that Selenium has become very popular, because whatever the client is using, they're ready to accept based on that. So out here team, I just want you to go down the many tutorials. You can take any fast track, or Manoj would have shared specifically which videos to watch. You could use that as well. Manoj, I believe you did share already, right? What are the prerequisite videos that you wanted the team to watch? Let me show you very quickly while Manoj answers that, as to how we create our own new test case. I'm saying new test case. First thing I'm going to do is say properties and mark this as iapt underscore tc 002. I don't think that is the exact naming that we did. iapt underscore tc underscore 00. Okay. So properties. Just want to make sure this is done correctly. And Manoj, any other questions that are coming, can you also try and handle them, please, into the session? I know you're mute, but maybe on the chat you could. Team, I'm gonna do this test for a quick 2 minutes. I'll focus on it, then I'll come back to your questions. Okay. All right. What is the first thing we want to do, team? Let's do TC003 instead of this. Properties TC003. It's gonna take more than 3 minutes, but we'll work on that. So we are focusing on we are focusing on this edit profile test case. Okay, what do you want to do? I have to go to interrupt.com, click on login button, enter username, enter password, click login button, confirm logged in. This we have not done it yet from an automation perspective. Edit profile and log out. Okay, this is what I need to be doing. So how do I do this, team, without having to do any record? So I have to look at the step here and write a command out here. That is my need. That is my call as of now. All right. So to do this, I'm going to put this window out here. I'm going to have my Selenium IDE and start writing the commands. First, let me write the command. Then I'll come to the target. So the first command for this is what, team? Open. What will we open? We're going to open interaf.com/app. So what should the base URL be? Very briefly looking at the application, the Selenium IDE application, you could figure out that, oh, base URL is here, command target is here, test case, just by playing around, team. No one is really teaching you out here. In this case, there's a target. What the target should be? Wherever, whatever is the subdomain or the page in that specific interrupt.com. So whatever I type in this section is what is coming out there. So /app/. How do I know that there are two slashes for this? That is because of the fact that we saw it in the earlier test case. When you're trying to write your own Selenium IDE script like this, team, refer back. First, always do record and run. Keep something handy so you know it is easy for you to uh, really do it for the first few times. After that, you can try and master it. Do not try and go with the mastery thing initially, team. First, go very systematically. So once I've gone to the app, what will be the next command be, team? What is the next command? The next command is to click on login. So what and where? What do I want to do? Click. Click. See, as I keep typing click, the command gives you different options. There are 4 types of click. Click, click and wait, click at where you want to click on, or click at and wait. You want to click and wait or just click, team? It is going to be click and wait. Why? Why is it click and wait? Because when I click on login, it will ask me to, it will load me into a new page, and it may take maybe half a second or even 5 seconds. You want the IDE to be patient while that is happening. So if I click on this, hey, why didn't it capture? Because it is not learning mode, it is not listening to you right now. That's why it didn't do anything. Then how do I give the target portion? The command I gave, but how do I give the target? You remember, it was already taken here in the test case. We will do it using our XPath. So the first thing we will do is right click. This is the portion, team, I want you to watch as a videos. How to identify elements in a browser using XPath or CSS. These videos are there available for all the premium members to watch. So you must watch this before you come to day 3. But I'll show you how I do it. I am not going to really explain to you right now, team. Lack of time as well. But the video will explain to you. So you should be able to refer to that. This. Okay. Here, I'm going to look at this whole thing and try and get this going. Okay, I can use this information to create the XPath for it. Okay, XPath in this case equals, either we use XPath or let's go just with link, right? Why don't we do that? It's already 7:33 as well, team. I can link also. Sorry, this is the one. So okay, let me try a few. It will take another 2-3 minutes for me to do it. Now, in this case, team, there's certain information out here. That information is what I need to capture and put it to identify an XPath. So the first thing is I give 2 slashes, give what is the HTML tag out here, which is A in this case. So I say A, open up my square brackets, then the element property name and the property element value, property value. So in this case, I'll say at class equals single quotes intro hyphen login. This is an XPath that is being used to identify this specific element on the page. How did I do that? I right clicked on that and I said inspect element. or inspect element with Firebug. What is Firebug and how can you install? Another tool that you'll find here, and the tutorials that we asked you to watch as prerequisite should help you, team. If you are able to cover these concepts, then day 3 we can move straight forward into how we take this code into the C# platform and start working with it. Okay, so inspect element with Firebug is what I did. It'll take me to the code, the HTML code. Every web page is made of HTML code. It'll take me to that specific section in the HTML code where the login information is. Now I'm saying this is the address to it. How do I know for sure that this is the address? Unless you put it into the target out here, all right, and get your app up and say find. Unless it finds that specific one by highlighting it, it is not correct. So for example, I'm doing here and it says the log file, that locator is not found. It is unable to find this. Why? This code sometimes, team, when you copy it from a different format altogether, it could be wrong. Now I say find. Do you see it blinking in yellow? It is basically saying that I have now successfully been able to find the address for it. Once you click and wait, what next, team? You want to enter the username and password. Do you notice as the website's dimension changes, the app is responsive? If the app is responsive, the location of username is on the right side of the logo, but when it is in this layout, it is on the bottom of it. So the physical location in the application is not a constraint. What is important is to be able to right click on that element, say inspect element with Firebug, go to that specific code, copy that code if possible, put it into a Word doc or any other document, and be able to get the XPath file. So I'm going to copy this, copy HTML, and for this the XPath is going to be input open square brackets at property name. I can say type is text. Okay, type is text. And let's say this is the one. Okay, and for the next step I'm going to quickly put that. Team, can you bear with me for another 10 minutes so that we come to some kind of a logical conclusion, and then we can end the session. I don't want to leave it in between right now, team. So here I am saying, what is the command, team? I want to put some information in here. So is there a command called put or write or paste? Pause is there, paste is not. So what is the command that we need to use to enter some information here? How about enter? What if you don't know, team? How would you go about doing it? You will refer to something that you already done. Go back to test case 001 and see what it is. The command we use, maybe type. So when in question, do a record. Try and see how the record is doing. Then you implement that. Once, twice, you will learn it after that. Alright? You do not really have to worry. Should I say type or should I say type and wait, team? You don't have to wait. You can type and then click on password. Only when you're clicking and navigating to other web pages, you want to be able to wait. But the reason these are available is so that there are certain applications where this may be applicable, and hence we need to put that. Type, and this is the information. So here I'm going to again change the single quotes and say find. To find the username, perfect. Now for username I need to enter a value too. So I'll say value is kk at atomic77.com. Done. Next one, password field. Again I'll say type. Alright, and the target I don't know, but I'll right click, inspect element with Firebug, see input, type is password. Here type is text. Now I was actually hoping that this would give us an issue, but it is not. So instead of typing it in word, team, I'm typing it straight away out here. So type is the property name equals password. Now if you're seeing this for the first time, it could be a little fast and it could be a little confusing. Okay, but I'm showing you how you write your test case on your own. You're not trying to master anything right now, team. You're just coming with a very open mind to see how to play around, how to enjoy this tool, have fun with it. And even if you take this training or not, or build a career on it, Selenium IDE will always help you do even some small tasks on the internet very quickly. So it's an automation tool. Just try and play around with it, have fun. As we go along, you will be able to master a lot of aspects and become a strong authority on it. So let's see, fine, great, I've got that. What do I do then? I do a click and wait again. So after this, I click and I wait. Where do I click? Login. Right click, inspect element with Firebug, button class equals submit. So how do I write? The format for the next part is 2 slashes, the name of that HTML tag. The HTML tag is nothing but what comes immediately after the less than symbol. Whatever comes immediately after the less than symbol, that word is the HTML tag. You'll notice everything is a tag like that. So button, open square brackets, at is saying attribute name, at for attribute. At, what is that attribute? Class is an attribute. The value for that can be different. So class submit. Something else could have button class enter or whatever. Class super button, something like that. Now here the class equals submit. But one thing, if you noticed, team, always after I write this target, I click on find. Find lets me find that. You can see it blinking, but the green highlight or the yellow highlight is very feeble. But you can see the code blinking out here. Say find. All right. See how interesting this is. This is where the tool and the automation testing really gets interesting, team. So now that we know the application, we know how the record and run works, we're trying to do this. So let me also replicate this. So I enter the KK at atomic77 password login. So once I log in and I come here, I have to click on edit profile. How do I do that? Inspect element again with Firebug. And here a class equals so on. This is a class here, there's a type here, so much of information, right? So I'll just take a class equals add -new inactive. Let's see if it works. So click again and wait because it may open up a new page. 2 backslashes. What is the HTML tag in this case? Can everyone answer? Can you all look at this short text? HTML tag is what is coming immediately after the less than symbol. And what is it in this case? A. It is A, team. A is your HTML tag. So to make sure that we put that information correct, so I say A, open square brackets, add for attribute, class is the attribute name, equals single quotes, add -new, is that space? Add -new, space inactive. Okay. What happens if the same value is there or we are unable to find it with that, or there's some issue in handling element identification? That is something you have to be an expert at, and you will build expertise. The videos that I'm asking you to watch will give you the starting level experience, but as we keep going through the sessions, you will notice that how you can really build up that skill, team. That skill is very important. So here I'm going to just change one thing, team. I'll change the display name from live to, let's say, live 2 or something. Okay, so how do I do it? Right click, inspect element with Firebug, get that element here. What is the command for this now? Type. How do you know? You've already done it once, and if you don't know, just do a simple record for you to understand. It is all about playing around initially, team. After that it becomes easy. So here I say hyphen input, open square brackets, add for attribute, type equals text. Then I say find. Does it find the display name, team? Does it find the display name? Not actually the display name. It is actually finding the first name. Why? I am saying type equals text. First name is here. Why is it pointing to this? Let's say this input type text. Oh, so even this is text. This is also text. So now it's getting more complicated and interesting. How, if both are text, then what do we do? Something else should be unique. I said red house, but there are 2 red houses, one besides each other, which both are red. Now you need something else to recognize that, correct? How do we do that? We use something else. How about name, edit first name, edit last name? Name here is edit display name. Let's try this. So instead of type, I'll say edit is the property name, and here I'll say edit underscore display underscore name. And now I'll say find. It's not finding it. Why? Oh, the property name is not edit, the property name is name. And find. Now we find it. Alright. What do you want to type? Instead of all this, I want to type this live 2. Now team, I'll just leave it till here. I'm going to do a quick execution to see how it works. The reason is not secure. Whoa. Are you guys all with me? Can you all ping me and say that yes, we're here? Okay, cool. I don't know why this came up. My internet. I'm going to quickly look into it. And I'm done in another second or two, team. It will not take long. What is this? It was correct. How could it give a certification issue? I'll check with my development team. This is interesting. See, that is why testing becomes important, because you can immediately report. Interrupt.com/app. Oh, it was not HTTPS. I think it was just HTTP. There you go. But who gave HTTPS, team? I didn't give HTTPS. Where did it come from then? Out here, see? I said interrupt. In google.com, there was HTTPS and it automatically changed to HTTP, correct? So that is the reason it is what was showing that error. Okay, now let's rerun this. Is it application? Come on. Okay, let's rerun this test case. And any questions that I have not answered, team, and I know it's already 1 hour 15 minutes past, or 15 minutes past the known deadline. Where is the app? Close this. It is doing something somewhere. If I'm unable to really handle all the questions, team, I will definitely do it in day 3 or offline. But what I'll request you to, oops, I closed Firefox. I hope the IDE is not killed. If it is, I really have to just redo it once. But oh shoes. So I basically lost all this files, team. That's fine. You know what I'll do? I'll come back and redo it. It's hardly going to take any time for me, and put them together so we can do it. I closed Firefox because it was not responding, and IDE also got closed with it. With that, whatever I did, all the test cases got lost, and that the reason is because I didn't save them as a test suite. So I'll see if I find them somewhere. Otherwise, we'll do this. All right, team, I'm going to take a few quick questions so that people are comfortable with what and how. After that, we'll work on something else. Okay, please answer my questions before ending the session. Rinku, Selenium WebDriver and Selenium IDE, I answered. Suresh said he didn't get the email address. The email. Send an email. We'll get you registered again. I didn't receive any file from you. I don't know what file are you talking to Rafiq. We've sent multiple files. What you're looking at is the so whatever you have, team, send an email with clear instructions. I'll make sure that the team is responding back. Like I said, with 450 plus registrants yesterday, it was becoming a little challenge for us. Had this issue in my work, even after deleting the cookies and opening in the new window, the application did not log out the user since it uses the credentials as the system login. I see, yeah. So the automatic logout was not happening. We are working on that. We have something for Selenium with Java. Oh yeah, so the whole tutorials right now that is available is totally with Selenium with Core Java, with JUnit and TestNG. As this is for C#, is there any other course for Selenium with Java? Same question you're asking in different ways, Rinku. So please focus and restrain towards how you ask the questions because it's the same question. All right. So team, I don't see any of the questions that are relevant or that I missed. IDE we spoke about, so that those have answered. The other ones were much more earlier. What we will do now, let's meet for day three. Day three, I'm traveling back to LA, US towards this weekend. So I'm going to schedule either Monday or Tuesday. We're going to have the day three. Definitely not Monday because I'm reaching there Monday evening US time. Either it is going to be later this week or it's going to be on Tuesday. But we may do more of an hour and a half session if possible, team, so that we can complete it in a much more quicker fashion. So I'll have my team once again resend what are the prerequisites we want you to watch. That will help us move faster. Thank you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you back in the day three. Take care. Bye now.